Hello, I'm Ollie and this is Criminally, where I talk about crime, pulp, horror, that kind of thing. Today, the end is in sight. I'm going to talk about the final books I'll be reading for my Read What You Own challenge. So if you don't know, the Read What You Own challenge is something I've ended up doing every year, where I set myself the goal of reading 100 books I already own before I can buy any new books. And I do it because it's so easy to get sucked into the habit of just relentlessly buying new books. And I often feel like I do that. And I think it's really important to pause on that every so often. Buying books is no bad thing. It can be a very, very enjoyable hobby. But it's also important sometimes to appreciate the books you've already got. And I've ended up with a situation where I have literally hundreds of books that I haven't read yet. So it feels like an appropriate thing for me to do, to pause once every year and read through 100 books I've already got and just stop buying new ones. So loads of other people are doing this challenge as well, which is wonderful. This is the third year I've done it. And you don't have to do 100 books. You can set yourself a lower target than that should you want to, but 100 feels like the right one for me. So I have this wonderful tick sheet, which was created by MJ from the channel Reading This Life, who's one of the co-hosts of the Read What You Own challenge this year. I'll leave a link in the description to where you can get a downloadable PDF of this, should you want to print it out for yourself and laminate it. There is a small fee, but all the proceeds go to charity. We haven't yet decided, so the hosts or co-hosts of Read What You Own this year are me, MJ, Greg from Another Bibliophile Reads, and Crystal from Fibre Artsy. And we're going to pick a bookish related charity for the proceeds to go to. But we've already raised, or I should say MJ has already raised over $100 through this, so that's fantastic. So yes, you can see from this that I have now read 93 books. So book 93 for me was Doors by Ed McBain, a fantastically enjoyable crime novel by my favourite author. Book 92 was The Forgetting Moon by BookTube's Brian Lee Durfee, which was also fantastic. I've completely forgotten what book 91 was, so I'm gonna seamlessly check. Book 91 was My Darkest Prayer by S.A. Cosby, a really, really good crime thriller, which I very much enjoyed. So I'm into the last 10 now. So I thought I'd talk today briefly about my experiences doing the challenge, and also about the next 7 books that I'm going to read, 2 of which I'm actually reading already, but I'll get to those in a minute. So I found this year, the third year of doing the challenge, the easiest year yet. And MJ was saying that in a video she did the other day, and reflecting on, for her, it's her second year doing it, I think. And she reflected on the fact that now that her BookTube channel, has been around for a bit longer, around the same length of time that mine has, and she's a bit more established, she's been finding herself less sucked into recommendations on BookTube. You can get into that habit of like hearing about a book and then immediately buying it. What I tend to do now is make a list of books I've heard about and let them, kind of ruminate on them for a little bit before I buy them. So I will be reviewing that list when I get to the end of my Read What You Own challenge and seeing if there's any of those I still fancy buying. But yeah, it can be. You can get swept up with the enthusiasm of BookTube hosts like myself, and end up buying books that you never get to. And that's one of the things the Read What You Own challenge is designed to combat. So for me this year, I found it easier than ever not to buy books. I really haven't found myself tempted at all, I don't think. There were a couple of like rarer books that I had eBay safe searches set up for that I do want to get at some point, but I've just paused those searches for the duration of the challenge. I've steered clear of like secondhand bookshops and charity shops and things like that, so I don't stumble across absolute bargains that I feel compelled to buy. I've stopped checking the Kindle Daily Deals on Amazon every day, and that for me is probably the least like worthwhile type of book buying I do. There's something very pleasurable about buying a physical book and having that physical book on your shelves and being able to look at it. Even if you haven't got around to reading it, just having a wall of books, behind you, I think is a lovely thing. And I do enjoy sometimes when I'm at work. So I work in this room as well when I'm working from home. And sometimes it's nice to pause, have a 5-minute pause from work and have a cup of tea and just look at my shelves and maybe pull a couple of things off and flip through them. So there is a a genuine pleasure, I think, in owning physical books, which you just don't get from Kindle books. Kindle books are great for reading, but because they don't have a physical presence, it's not quite the same thing. And for me, this terrible habit of checking the Kindle daily deals every day and every month checking the monthly deals and ending up buying dozens and dozens of 99p books, which are, good value for money if you read them, but then never reading them, just seems like a bad thing. So I definitely need, once I finish this challenge, to set myself some better rules and guidelines around when I do and don't buy books, and the kind of books I will and won't buy going forward. Because I've still, even when I finish this challenge, I'm still going to have hundreds of unread books. And I do have a kind of plan in my head about what I'm going to do next. But I'm going to wait until I get to the end of the challenge, and then I'll talk about that in a video if I still feel like it's the right way to go. So anyway, I've got 7 books left. So I thought I'd talk quickly today about those. So the first 2 are things I'm reading already. So one of those is The Hellfire Club by Peter Straub, a lengthy, 600 pages, kind of horror thriller, which I'm really enjoying so far. So about a series of murders in a small town and a kind of family of people who are involved in investigating them. So that's excellent so far. Also reading The Song of Susanna by Stephen King, book 6 in the Dark Tower series, which again I'm really enjoying so far. I didn't particularly enjoy book 5. Book 6 I'm loving, and I'm a good halfway through that. So those will probably be the next 2 things that I finish. And then after that I've got 5 more things. And I'm not entirely sure what order I'm going to read these in, but I know what I'm going to read last. So I'll get to that one. So the first couple of things then are things I've got on my Kindle. So one of those is Every Dead Thing by John Connolly, which I have read before, but like probably 25 years ago. So this is the first of the Charlie Parker series of mysteries. I'm really keen to read through that whole series. I remember Every Dead Thing being excellent. A kind of, gritty, atmospheric mystery novel. So yeah, very much looking forward to diving into that soon. And then I've also got a book that just looks really fun, which was sent to me by someone who works at Neotext, the publisher. So this is The Final Continent by D.C. McManus with illustrations by Simon Bisley. So D.C. McManus I've not read anything by. Simon Bisley is a comic artist whose work I used to really enjoy in 2000 AD, like a few decades ago when I used to read 2000 AD every week. So this is like a post-apocalyptic adventure type thing, and it just looks really, really entertaining. The other 2 things I've got then, so I've got this book which I've owned for ages and I can't remember if I've read it or not. So this is Population 1280 by Jim Thompson. I do also have it on my Kindle because clearly it was in a Kindle deal and I bought it. So Jim Thompson, if you don't know, is a fantastically dark writer of crime fiction. So particularly wrote, I think, in like the 50s and 60s. Yeah, this came out in 64. Really bleak, dark crime fiction. And when I did a video recently about crime writers I want to read more of, somebody suggested Jim Thompson in the comments, because I've never really talked about him on my channel. I have read a number of books over the years by him. So yeah, looking forward to either reading or rereading this one. I genuinely can't remember if I've read it or not. But I bought this. I've actually signed this and put the date I bought it inside. So I bought this in 1995. And I genuinely don't know if I've read it yet or not. So yeah, looking forward to that. I've also got a book that was sent to me by the publisher a little while ago. So this is the Night House by Joe Nesbo. So Joe Nesbo, best known for the Harry Hole, I think is how you're supposed to pronounce it, series of mysteries. This is a horror novel. I've heard slightly mixed reviews of this. Some people seem to really love it. Some people, I think, are a bit lukewarm on it. But it's supposed to be like really gripping and compelling, and I do think it's got a fantastic cover as well. So looking forward to giving this a try. It's got a great tagline on the back as well. When the voices call, don't answer. So yeah, looking forward to that. It should be a fun read. And then the final thing I'm going to read to wrap up the Read What You Own challenge for this year is naturally something trashy. So I'm going to read The Survivalist, Book 12, The Rebellion by Jerry Ahern. So in Book 11 of the Survivalist series, which is another post-apocalyptic series, a group of Nazis appeared out of nowhere as a new villain for John Rourke, the hero, to fight. So clearly he gets on with fighting some Nazis in this book. So that feels like an appropriate way to end the challenge. Nazi fighting is always an entertaining thing to read about. So yes, that's what the rest of the Read What You Own challenge looks like for me. Looking forward to finishing it, but I've really enjoyed the journey as well, without wishing to sound too corny. If you're doing the challenge as well, let me know in the comments how you're getting on with it. I hope it's going well for you and you're not finding it too hard. And as always, thank you very much for watching. I hope you're safe and well out there. Hope you're reading good stuff, and I'll speak to you again very soon. Cheerio.